Hello, Homestucks of YouTube. I'm Anna, aka Articulately Composed. You might know me as the girl who did the Chixie rap, that one person who still does Hive Swap comics, or maybe the person behind Time's Apprentice, if you actually follow my stuff. But that is not what I'm here to talk to you about today. No, today we are going to talk about PhemieC. Yes, PhemieC, the beloved fan songwriter of the early days of Homestuck. We all know them, we all love them, but do we know why we love them? If you think about it, PhemieC is just a voice with a guitar recording out of their basement. The songs have no formal theory behind them, low production value, and pretty out-of-tune harmonies. But I'm here to tell you why, despite that, and in many cases because of that, they've become one of the most recognizable musicians in the Homestuck fandom. I've got a few songs I want to go through here, some of them chosen by you guys, some of them my own personal favorites. And by the end of the video, you will know why I love PhemieC so much and why you should too. Let's start with a familiar one. Everyone knows Ugly Story. Even people who don't know PhemieC know Ugly Story. Ugly Story is part of what convinced my mom to read Homestuck. She heard it and became so attached to Airden through this one song that she was convinced he must be the main antagonist. She was sorely disappointed when she actually read it. But that is the power of this song. It so clearly exemplifies Airden's loss, anger, remorse, all in one 3-minute song. You feel like you know his entire character after listening to it. My favorite verse is the last one.
So here I am respectfully and royally destroying any chance of getting back on your good gills. And I don't mean to be hurtful, but if yellow's the new purple, well then bleeding's the new breathing. Don't you think I will? I used to wish the death of every living thing. I might be your killer, but you'll never be my queen, so put away your laughter.
It's just got so much personality to it. Now, one fascinating thing about the harmony in this song is it relies on one progression for practically the entire song. 1, 4, 3, 5, which in this circumstance is E minor, D, F sharp. This progression isn't a super unusual one, but the thing is, most of the time the melody rests on an F sharp. This would potentially lead to a bit of a crunch between the E minor chord and the verse, but this is completely circumvented because the guitar part keeps the pedal F sharp no matter what, and the entire chord is never played. I do quite like the E minor 9 sound though. I wonder what it would sound like if PhemieC kept it in. This is another super fun character one. It's bubbly, it's bright, it's a little bit crazy, it's just overall a good time. Now, here's where I'm going to talk about something I'll call PhemieC's ghost harmonies. I'm going to call them that because they have a sort of eerie, ghostly sound to them. You hear them all over their music, it's one of their most recognizable traits, and if you're a trained musician, the first thing you'll notice is that they're out of tune. But that's exactly why I love them. They're so unique to PhemieC. They're honestly oddly comforting. Sweet has a lot of these ghost harmonies, both in the spaces right before the chorus and in the verses themselves, accenting the important words. Despite being out of tune, they're still super singable and really fun to sing along with. You can join Jane in her descent into madness as you sing along in the car, becoming one of the candy-coated voices in her head yourself. Like Ugly Story, this is another favorite of the fandoms, and I think it's just because it's so much fun. This song is almost entirely ghost harmonies. Most of the songs in this video I'm able to do a harmonic analysis of, but this one, I just can't. That's what makes it so great. The harmony is so hard to conceptualize, and that lends this amazing atmosphere to the song. But atmosphere isn't really enough to carry a song. What makes Inherit Nothing such a perfect song is the emotional bluesy tune. The tune operates on the blues scale, chromatic tones and all. It's just so damn fun to sing. It's one of those songs that's just asking the listener to take it and run and add your own emotional depth to it. It's the perfect vocal sandbox to play in, because it doesn't matter what the chords are. It doesn't matter if you're singing alone in your bedroom banging on a chair as a drum. It will always sound good. And also, I doubt this was intentional, the chromaticism of the melody sort of helps it to make it more aqueous adjacent. The ascending half-step motifs, like in Never Be On Me, alongside the vocal slides all throughout the song, give a feeling of the tunes sneaking up behind you, like it's coming out of nothing. This song has so much character to it. Most of PhemieC songs I just sing in my own voice, cause they fit really nicely in my range and I can make them my own. But I can't sing this one in my own voice. I need to sing it in an accent. Honestly, Ugly Story is kind of the same, but like when I sing Friend Leader, I don't try to put on an ugly, gravelly car cat voice, so why is it that whenever I sing Mary, my inner Miriam comes out? It's because of the amount of character in both the lyrics and the general melodic contour. Let's take a look at the first faster section.
Meddling with murderers, stories of who pay for their insanity, and no, I'm one of them. I'm burst of my followed on the high roses.
The lyrics have such a grandiose, mouthfeel to them. They might not have the most obnoxiously long words in them, but they're full of long sounds like M's and tall ahs. And at the end there, that I rose, it has such importance to it. Not self-importance, but true importance to the story. Like the singer is a ray of light, and that ray of light will punch you in the face if you dare threaten their friends. This song, harmonically and structurally, is very simple, but I adore it. It only has 4 chords. You hear them in the intro, and you won't hear a different one throughout the whole song. And the pre-chorus sits on the same 4 notes, in the same pattern for the entire time. So, do, fa, re. The chorus replaces the re with a mi, but it's still a very repetitive pattern. What makes this song so unique is its sound. Not only is it one of PhemieC's few songs to use their head voice, but the accompaniment is played on the charango, a very bright-sounding Spanish lute. This gives a sharp and present tone to the song about an otherwise very dark fanfic. Yes, this song is about a fanfic. The Serendipity Gospels, to be exact. And yes, this song convinced me to finish reading it. It's pretty dense and hard to get through at times, but that second verse especially convinced me. I don't even like Gamrezi, but this song made me wish that Gamrezi in canon wasn't terrible. There's a girl pacing around me proselytizing parasite. Her sick, acidic logic ridicules the ancient rite. God, those words just feel so good. There's rhyme, assonance, consonants. I've actually used the words proselytizing parasite to describe a lot of things IRL since the song came out. It's just a fun phrase. Fun fact, this was my first PhemieC. Back when I first read Homestuck, one of my first ships was between Mulan and Kurlos. I found this song with the ship's tag on Tumblr, and I fell deep down the PhemieC rabbit hole. This one's got a special place in my heart because of it. It also has a fascinating chord structure. The verses and beginning of the pre-chorus are almost entirely built on alternating major and minor 1 chords. That's not a dichotomy you see a ton of. Usually, if you're borrowing chords from the minor, it's a predominant chord like a 4 or a 6, not the ever-important tonic pitch center. The choruses and end of the pre-chorus, however, rely heavily on the major 6 as the most interesting chord. You get this on Thin Trails of Green / Thin Threads of Black, which emphasizes that as the most important imagery in the scene.
Run down your neck and drip from your chin. Thin trails of green, thin lines on gray skin.
The chorus does a lot of going between the major 1 chord and the major 6 chord, with some major 7 thrown in there. If you know my music, you know I'm a big fan of parallel major chords, so of course I like the harmonic language in this one a lot. Maybe this is where I've gotten it from. Do you all know the myth of the Changeling? Changeling children were babies taken by the Fae and replaced with their own offspring, babies that grew up to seem a little off and not act as the parents expected them to. Centuries after these myths were created, we realized that those changeling children were actually autistic kids, and it's a myth that's really been embraced by the neurodivergent community. That's what this song is about. It's about PhemieC feeling so different from their family and community growing up and not knowing why, feeling like they must actually be one of the Fae. It's done beautifully here. The lyrics tell such a story, with the verses being in the perspective of a family member, I always assumed the mother, and the choruses from their perspective. The quiet, gentle ukulele picking gives it a folksy feel, like it could be told as a story around a campfire. But the kind of fuzzy audio quality along with their very fragile vocals makes that story seem unsettling. The chords are so simple that they barely matter in the long run, since harmonic movement isn't really what moves the song forward. The ukulele is pretty much just there to set the mood, since the tune is so independent of the instrumentals. The song is so spacious and airy, and really leaves you with something to think about. This one I don't actually know too well. The theme you'll hear over and over again in this video is, "This PhemieC song convinced me to watch or play X." But I still haven't listened to The Adventure Zone. I've tried, I've definitely made an attempt, and I won't lie and say the song didn't convince me to make that attempt, but I've just never been able to get into it. So I don't really know too much about Taco's story, aside from a few things that I've gleaned from friends and seeing spoilers on Tumblr. Despite that, despite me not knowing practically anything about Taz, this song still makes me emotional. The song uses plenty of ghost harmonies, which I think just get an emotional response out of me anyway at this point. But the fragile, gentle picking at the beginning gives a sort of feeling of emptiness when you enter the song, especially the diminished flat 6. The whole mood of this song just feels foggy, like a foggy mind. I wish I had some more specific stuff to say about the lyrics, especially because I know there's some important stuff in there that's only visible to Taz fans, but honestly, the song is still beautiful and tragic without the context. I was torn over whether I should do this song or Girls in Love, because that song was the one that convinced me to play Life is Strange, but this one is the one that convinced me to actually buy the full game and play the whole thing. Also, this one relies heavily on the flat 7 chord, which is like my favorite chord for making songs sound super genuine. The song has such good character to it. I've never been a big fan of love songs. They're usually too sappy and unrealistic, but this one is just so simple. It's all just about how much Rachel just being there meant to Chloe. This is really helped along by the very simple choice of words. Some of PhemieC's songs use a ton of grandiose language, words chosen because of the complex rhyme or mouthfeel of them, but this one is just simple observations. She was an angel. She was a Leo. She helps me dye my hair in the sink. It really feels like a song that could have been written by a teenager. This one does a similar thing to what Thin Lines did with switching between major and minor, but it does it on a much smaller scale. You can see that in the first verse.
She was an angel. She was a Leo. She helped me dye my hair in the sink.
The little turnaround from the 7 to the 4 just adds so much melancholy. You can tell listening to it, even though it's not a sad song, that there's loss behind it. Ooh, this one. This is my favorite PhemieC song of all time. This song is peak PhemieC. I actually showed this song to my songwriting professor. I love it so much. It just hits all the qualities. Let's start with the lyrics. The rhyme here is just incredible. Just the first line has so much internal rhyme. Doubt's an elastic that snaps where you grasp it with idle hands clasped at your wrist just as sharp as a kiss. This happens throughout the entire song. The third verse does it best, not just with assonance but with consonants too.
You shrink and you smile and you try to make small, but the devil sees all and she thinks you're a beauty. You're bursting and beating and burning up hotter each second. The reckoning comes for you, daughter.
I actually painted those lyrics because I love them so much. This verse doesn't just have rhyme though, it's absolutely bursting with character. When I first heard this song, I'd never played We Know the Devil. I have now, song convinced me to play it, of course. But this verse is just so devilish. The energy behind it just makes me want to twitch and convulse and act like a cartoon villain whenever I sing along to it. It imbues every ounce of the music with the fear that Venus is feeling during her ending of the game. Now, let's take a look at the harmony. The progression for the verses is 6-1-5. The song doesn't start on a tonic like you might expect it to. Also, this means every single line leads to a deceptive cadence, the 5 moving into the 6. There is no standard 5-1 resolution. Even on the chorus, which does have dominant to tonic functions, it does not have that super strong 5-1. The chorus relies on a 6-7-1 progression, which has a sort of grandiosity to it. Like all of PhemieC's songs, there's no real arrangement, no orchestration, just voice and guitar. But damn does that guitar work to set the mood for every single verse. Just the strum patterns alone add and take away energy. Alright, I think that's all the songs we got. Sorry if this was such a long video, I just have a lot of thoughts about PhemieC's music. When I say things like PhemieC taught me how to write lyrics, I'm really not exaggerating. Their music has really meant a lot to me growing up, to the point where if I put on a song that has a lot of those classic PhemieC ghost harmonies, even if it's one I don't really know very well, it just gives me this sense of calm. I've had a lot of fun dissecting all these songs for you all, and I hope you enjoyed it too. I'm considering doing more of these theory review type videos in the future, so if you liked it, leave a comment and tell me. I've been looking into branching out my content a bit since Time's Apprentice is over, Pester Quest is ending soon, and I'm really scraping the bottom of the barrel when it comes to Friendsim comics. Anyway, huge thanks to my patrons, Space Arbys, Stinky, and Ryan Nelson, and make sure to check out the links in the description for social media and my Discord server, if you want any updates or general flailing about. Thank you all so much for watching, and I will see you all next time.